everyone. So the in-season tournament, in my opinion, was a huge success, and it couldn't have gone any better for the NBA. You had all of the key players, all of the faces of the league, LeBron, Giannis, KD, Steph. You had all these guys petitioning and just basically validating this tournament. You had all the players really stepping up and playing huge and it being competitive games. You saw the playoff level atmosphere. You saw teams actively trying to win this. And then at the end, you had, in my opinion, the best possible outcome the NBA could have had. You had the Indiana Pacers, who were the, underdog team, that team that shouldn't have been there, that had to go through the gauntlet to end up getting to the finals, but shows that, hey, this is the point of this tournament, that NFL, NCAA, March Madness type environment where, not always the best team always wins, right? Where if it was, say, Boston and Denver, I think a lot of people would have been very disinterested. But you had the fact that, hey, this underdog team was able to win 6 games and get to the championship round, which is the whole point, that anybody can win this. You don't have to be the best team. You just have to be the better team for any individual night. Nobody thinks Indiana's beaten Boston or Milwaukee in a 7-game series, but for one night, you can be better than them. For one night, you could want it more. So to have every game be a game 7, I think that was huge. And then it being that underdog, I think was even bigger. And then you look at the other side. If the NBA could handpick any team to represent this in-season tournament and win the championship, it would be arguably the Lakers. Talking about the most historic, decorated franchise in the NBA. You're talking about the most recognizable face of the league in LeBron James. You're talking about the Lakers and LA market, the big market versus the small market team, right? You just from every aspect, this is what you could have asked for. LeBron James, again, arguably, if not the greatest player ever, right? Winning the MVP, which now you can use that for marketing and promotion and to show oh, hey, look, anybody, look at what this was able to achieve. It's another status quo in his belt and all that stuff. Also, on top of that, it's hey, LeBron James, who again is arguably, if not the greatest player ever, took this serious, wanted to win this, and then went and won it and won the MVP. It sets the standard and the tone for everybody else. Because now, even 5-10 years from now, you always have that template of LeBron James, who is forever cemented in this league, won the first ever and took it serious. And at age 39 in year 21, or soon to be 39, in year 21 was able to achieve this. There's no excuse for anybody else. So I think from every element, this was a huge success for the NBA and the in-season tournament. Well, this is the first one. So you imagine that they're going to want to make little tweaks, make little changes as this progresses. And I do think at some point, the in-season tournament will be that huge impact, that huge argument, right? Just using as an example, let's say Luka and Anthony Edwards, right? At some point, it's going to be oh, who's better, Luka or Anthony Edwards? Well, Anthony Edwards has 2 NBA championships, but he has, 3 in-season tournament championships and also won the MVPs in both of those, right? But Luka, yeah, he has 3 NBA championships, but he only has 1 in-season tournament championship, which, yes, he won the MVP, but collectively, Anthony Edwards has more championships, right? At some point, maybe 10 years from now, might be 5 years from now, it could be, 20 years from now, who knows? But at some point, this is going to be the status quo for players and those accomplishments and what they've able to achieve. Just as we have seen over the years when they implement even individual accolades and the MVP awards and scoring titles and all of that, right? When you win that, it becomes a big deal. But the NBA is looking at a potential rule change that I think could be a terrible idea. And let's just dive into it. And of course, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions, so let me know down in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. But according to ESPN's Tim Bontemps, while there are pros and cons to guaranteeing an automatic playoff bid to the tournament winner, people around the league are open to a scenario in which the winner is promised at least the 7th seed in its respective conference. So while a top 6 berth was universally seen as a bridge too far amongst league insiders spoken to by ESPN. One idea that had more support was guaranteeing the winner of the tournament at least the 7th spot, meaning they would get 2 home games to earn their way into the playoffs, Bontemps wrote. So I think that this is a terrible idea, right? I think if you I understand you want to give more of an incentive besides winning a championship and on top of winning a championship, the money, right? Because the superstars, like LeBron could care less about the $500,000. I know he says he wants it and he wants to talk about it and stuff like that. And it is $500,000, nothing to like sneeze at. But the reality is like that $500,000 doesn't make him or break him. But it does for all of the guys that are making vet minimum deals, like that's like half their contract. And then all the guys like the two-way players and stuff like that, they all got basically just doubled their salary, if not more, in literally a day, right? So I do understand the money incentive. I do understand all that. But I don't think that there should be an award for a team to automatically make the playoffs or the play-in simply on the fact that the whole idea of the in-season tournament is to have some type of just chance, right? Some type, like, again, the Indiana Pacers making it and potentially winning it. But realistically, more times than not, the team that is going to make it are going to be, 2 of the top 5 teams that are going to make the playoffs regardless. I understand from a point, right? Like, I think it was Damian Lillard that made this point of like, yeah, between now and playoff time, a lot could change. Basically talking about injuries and stuff like that. And I do get that. And injuries are a factor, of course. Even the Lakers, right? If LeBron James and Anthony Davis, knock on wood, were to end up getting hurt and missing significant time, and the Lakers are now the 11th seed or 12th seed, and they missed the playoffs because of injury. Or look at like Golden State a couple years ago, right? When Steph got hurt, they end up missing. I get that, and I understand that, but that's just part of the game, right? I don't think you can make decisions on maybe this happens, right? Because then what about the other teams that had injuries during the in-season tournament that maybe got crippled? There's just so many different arguments, so many different ways that you could go about it. Also, I think the biggest thing is you lose incentive. Right, so we'll stick with the Lakers as an example because they won it. You have LeBron James, who is in year 21, soon to be age 39. Anthony Davis, who has an injury history. If the Lakers were guaranteed at least the 7th seed, then why do you need to play LeBron James and Anthony Davis significant minutes or games or whatever? Right, take a team like San Antonio, who basically were the organization that instilled the load management and resting, right? If they go and win the in-season tournament, next year or in a couple years, why would Pop play Victor? You might as well just save him for the thing. You have 2 home chances to go win it. I mean, obviously seeding matters, matchups matter, and all that stuff. But again, like a team like the Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they just want to get into the playoffs. A team like Denver, a team like Boston, right? These contending teams, all they care about is getting to the playoffs. Yes, having home court and stuff would be nice, but or is Denver, because they don't have home court, going to lose to the Clippers? Probably not, right? It's just I just see this having a bigger impact league-wise in a lot of the stuff that they're trying to change. Right? Or it's like, let's say that year that Golden State, Steph got hurt. Let's say Steph was able to come back, but Golden State is already the 10th seed or whatever. Right? And it's like, okay, so at best, we bring Steph back. He could run the risk of getting hurt, and we still may not make the playoffs, get the 6th seed or whatever. But if we won the in-season tournament, so we're guaranteed the 7th seed, why would you bring Steph back? If chances are you're just going to make the 7th seed regardless, right? So like even from an injury standpoint, which Damian Lillard and others have hinted to, if you have a significant injury, right, then chances are you're going to struggle, depending on who it is, you're going to struggle to stay afloat anyway. right? Like if Denver lost Jokic, they're probably not going to be a top 5 seed anyway, right? Like, so why would you go and then guarantee that they get the 6th seed or even the 7th seed, right? Why even bring Jokic back? Why not make sure he's 100% healthy come playoffs? Maybe bring him back a game or two before, because you're not going to have home court anyway, right? So that's my point. Like if some of these teams are in the position to where it's like, okay, well, we're going to finish as like the 5th seed, so we're not going to have home court throughout the playoffs anyway. Like, yeah, it would suck to play an extra game, but we would have 100% LeBron James or 100% AD or both, which that's the point is just to get these guys healthy going into the playoffs. I just think that could cause a problem. But I do think the in-season tournament should have some type of implications, right? So, for example, like tiebreakers, right? So say, a team is tied, right? So like, let's say the Lakers are currently the 8th seed and, they have like the same record as, I don't know, let's just say the Clippers, right? They have the same record as the Clippers and the Clippers are the 7th seed, right? Well, then you could use the in-season tournament to say, okay, well, because the Lakers won the in-season tournament, they get the 7th seed, right? Or say, you could have the in-season tournament be the ultimate tiebreaker. So let's say the Lakers are in 2nd place and, you have Minnesota who's 1st and they need the tiebreaker to go, but Minnesota has the season tiebreaker, but the in-season tournament trumps that, right? So now the Lakers are the 1 seed because they won the in-season tournament. Something like that where it's like a tiebreaker, sure. I also think, and I've made the argument, that I think because especially the championship game, it doesn't count. But I definitely think what you do in the in-season tournament should factor into other individual accolades, right? So like, for example, Austin Reeves, he is currently the 6th man of the year, right? And with him being the 6th man, or currently in position for 6th man of the year, right? So him and Tim Hardaway Jr. are the 2 guys that are fighting for that 6th man role, right? So if it comes down and you have these tiebreakers or you have these, these votes and stuff, I think the fact that Austin Reeves was in the in-season tournament should play a role, and because he elevated his game even further in the in-season tournament, that should play a role, right? And then especially in the finals, because he was in the finals and gave you 28, I think that should factor in. So I think that the in-season tournament should be used as tiebreakers or be used as bigger arguments for why players should get certain accolades, right? Like if LeBron James is in the MVP conversation, right? And it's close and it's like, man, we could either have LeBron or we could have Jokic this year, whomever, right? And it's like, well, LeBron won the in-season tournament and he won the finals MVP for that tournament. He should get the nod to win the MVP if it's close, right? If he's like 5th in voting, then no. But if it's close and it's like, it's either going to be Jokic or LeBron, that's clear, obvious. Well, then I think LeBron should get that MVP because the in-season tournament should be a factor. Same thing for if it's not the Lakers, right? If next year Denver wins it, or let's say Milwaukee wins it, and it's Giannis and Jokic, right? Well, then I think that you should have if Giannis wins the in-season tournament, I think he should get the nod, right? So that's kind of my thoughts. As always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know yours down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you think yes, you should have them guarantee a playoff spot? Do you think no, that's too much? Do you think that the play-in tournament, there we go, play-in tournament is something that should definitely be considered? Do you think no? Do you think it should be some tiebreakers? Again, however you feel, what your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments.